I got tired of being weak. Not tired in the motivational quote way. Not tired like I needed a break. Tired in the way that makes something inside you snap. Tired of looking at myself and knowing I wasn't living up to my potential. Tired of knowing I could do more, but choosing comfort instead. Tired of promising myself I'd change tomorrow. Tired of losing and pretending it didn't bother me. Tired of making excuses and calling them reasons. Tired of watching other people win while I stayed exactly the same. This isn't a hype story. This is what happens when self-respect finally outweighs comfort. There's a moment most people never talk about.
That moment when you realize the enemy isn't the world, it's you. It's your habits, it's your laziness, it's your fear. It's the part of you that keeps choosing easy over right. And when that realization hits, it hurts. Because now you can't lie anymore. You can't blame anyone else. You can't pretend you didn't know. You knew. You always knew. You just didn't want to do what it takes. Weakness doesn't announce itself. It hides. It disguises itself as rest, as balance, as I deserve this. It tells you you'll start later. It tells you one more day won't matter. It tells you you're already doing enough. And slowly, quietly, it steals your future. Not in one dramatic failure, but in 1,000 small decisions. You don't wake up a loser. You become one by choosing comfort over discipline every single day. And the worst part? You feel it. You feel it when you look in the mirror. You feel it when you avoid challenges. You feel it when deep down you know you didn't give your best. That feeling eats at you. It turns into self-hate. It turns into anger. It turns into frustration. And eventually, if you're lucky, it turns into resolve. Because one day, something breaks. Not your body, not your mind, your tolerance. You stop tolerating your own weakness. You stop tolerating excuses. You stop tolerating being average. You stop tolerating the gap between who you are and who you know you could be. And you say it, not out loud, not for anyone else. You say it to yourself. Never again. Never again will I let comfort decide my life. Never again will I quit because it's hard. Never again will I lie to myself and call it peace. Never again will I betray my own potential for temporary relief. That's where this starts. Not with motivation, not with inspiration, but with disgust. Disgust with who you've been and a refusal to stay that way. Weakness feels safe. That's why it's dangerous. It keeps you warm. It keeps you comfortable. It keeps you small. It wraps around you like a blanket and suffocates your potential while making you think you're resting. Weakness is a liar. It tells you that one day off won't matter, that you've earned the right to coast, that you can start fresh Monday, that tomorrow is soon enough. But tomorrow never comes. There's always another excuse, always another reason to delay, always another justification for staying exactly where you are. And every time you accept that excuse, you reinforce the pattern. You train yourself to quit. You teach yourself that your word means nothing, that your commitments are negotiable, that comfort is more important than growth. Strength is different. Strength is lonely. Strength demands sacrifice. Strength demands that you do what you don't feel like doing. And that's why most people never become strong. They wait to feel ready. They wait to feel motivated. They wait for the right moment. But that moment never comes. The truth is, you don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your discipline. And if your discipline is weak, your life will be too. That's the reality nobody wants to hear. You want confidence? Earn it. You want self-respect? Build it.
You want power? Suffer for it. There is no other way. No shortcut, no hack, no secret formula that bypasses the work. You don't become dangerous by staying comfortable. You become dangerous by mastering yourself. By doing the hard thing when no one is watching. By showing up when it would be easier to quit. By training when you're tired. By working when you're bored. By staying focused when distractions are screaming your name. By making the right choice when the wrong choice is easier, faster, and more appealing. This is where people misunderstand discipline. They think it's punishment. It's not. Discipline is protection. It protects you from your weaker self. It protects your future from your present impulses. It protects your potential from your excuses. It's the armor you wear against the version of yourself that wants to quit. And the first stage of discipline is ugly. It's painful. You don't feel proud. You don't feel strong. You feel exposed. You feel behind. You feel like you wasted time. And that realization hurts more than any workout ever will. But pain is honest. Pain tells you the truth, and the truth is this: you cannot become who you want to be by staying who you are. Something has to die. The lazy version of you. The comfortable version of you. The version that avoids discomfort. The version that hits snooze. The version that makes excuses. The version that quits when things get hard. That version doesn't come with you. You either kill it or it kills your future. There is no middle ground, no compromise, no half measures. And once you accept that, everything changes. You stop negotiating with yourself. You stop asking, do I feel like it? You stop waiting for motivation. You move because you said you would. And that's where real strength starts. Not in intensity, but in consistency. Not in hype, but in habits. Not in showing off, but in showing up. This is the phase nobody claps for. No one notices. No one cares. You're grinding in silence. You're tired. You're sore. You're doubting yourself. You're wondering if anyone sees the work you're putting in. And the answer is no. They don't see it. They don't care. And that's perfect, because you're not doing this for them anymore. You're doing this because you got tired of being weak, tired of letting yourself down, tired of breaking promises to the one person who matters most, you. And yet, you keep going. That's when you separate. That's when you become different. Because most people quit here. They quit when it stops being exciting. They quit when it gets lonely. They quit when results don't come fast enough. They quit when the dopamine fades and all that's left is the boring, repetitive work. And you'll want to quit too. Don't lie to yourself. You'll have days where you ask, what's the point? Days where you feel like you're doing everything right and still losing. Days where progress is invisible. Days where you're exhausted and nothing seems worth it. That's the test, not of your body, but of your character. Weak people look for reasons to stop. Strong people look for reasons to continue. And strength is built by choosing to continue when quitting would make perfect sense. When quitting would be logical. When quitting would be understood by everyone around you. That's when you prove who you are. This is where the phrase, "I got tired of being weak," becomes real. Not as a quote, not as a caption, but as a standard. A line you refuse to cross. You don't tolerate skipping. You don't tolerate half effort. You don't tolerate excuses. Not because you're harsh, not because you're punishing yourself, but because you respect yourself too much to betray your own potential again. And slowly, something changes. Not overnight, not dramatically, but steadily, like water carving stone. You start trusting yourself because you keep your promises to yourself. You say you'll train, and you do.
You say you'll work, and you do. You say you'll stop wasting time, and you do. And that trust builds confidence. Real confidence. Not the loud kind, not the flashy kind, the quiet, unshakable kind. You walk differently. You speak differently. You think differently. Because you know you're doing the work. And that knowledge is powerful. You're no longer performing. You're no longer pretending. You're actually becoming the person you claimed you wanted to be. You're no longer weak. Not because life got easier, but because you got stronger. And this is only the beginning. Once you stop being weak, life doesn't suddenly get easier. It gets quieter. The noise fades. The distractions lose their grip. The excuses stop sounding convincing. And that silence is uncomfortable at first. Because silence forces you to confront yourself. There's no dopamine hit, no applause, no one cheering you on. Just you, your work, and the weight of responsibility. Most people can't handle that. They need chaos to feel alive. They need validation to feel worthy. They need someone to tell them they're doing enough. They need external noise to drown out the internal voice, asking if they're really trying. But you don't. Not anymore. Because you've already decided. Never again. Never again will you wait for permission to become better. Never again will you beg motivation to show up. Never again will you need someone else's approval to do what you know needs to be done. You move whether you feel like it or not. That's the difference now. You've crossed a line most people never do. You've stopped seeing yourself as a victim. You've stopped blaming circumstances. You've stopped pointing fingers at your past, your parents, your environment, your genetics, your opportunities. You've stopped using your story as an excuse, and you've started using it as fuel. And that scares people, because when you take full responsibility, you expose everyone still hiding behind excuses. They'll feel it. They won't know why they're uncomfortable around you. They'll just know something changed. You're not as available anymore. You're not as easygoing anymore. You're not laughing off mediocrity anymore. You're not participating in the collective excuse-making sessions they call conversations. And they'll say you're different. They're right. You are. Because weakness made you acceptable. Weakness made you relatable. Weakness made you safe to be around. But strength makes you intimidating. And intimidation isn't loud. It's not aggressive. It's quiet discipline. It's consistency. It's standards. It's saying no to things that don't align with where you're going. This is where loneliness creeps in. Not because you're alone, but because fewer people can walk with you now. Your pace is different. Your priorities are different. Your tolerance is different. You don't waste time anymore. You don't entertain nonsense conversations. You don't indulge comfort for the sake of fitting in. You don't lower your standards so others feel comfortable. And that costs you relationships. That's the part no one warns you about. Self-improvement is isolating. Discipline creates distance. Growth creates separation. Not because you think you're better, but because you're no longer willing to stay small for anyone. You're no longer willing to dim your light so others don't feel uncomfortable in their darkness. And this is where most people fold. Not in the gym, not at work, but in loneliness. They miss being understood. They miss being normal. They miss having people around who get them. So they shrink themselves again. They soften their standards. They skip just this once. They compromise. They go back. You don't. Because you remember. You remember how it felt to hate yourself. You remember the frustration. You remember the regret. You remember looking in the mirror and feeling disappointed. You remember the weight of unfulfilled potential. You remember the shame of knowing you could do more, but choosing not to, and you refuse to go back there. So you keep going, even when it's boring, even when it's painful, even when progress feels invisible, even when nobody's watching, even when nobody cares, because you understand something now, something fundamental. Results lag behind discipline. The work always comes before the reward. Always. That's the law. That's how it works. That's how it's always worked. And weak people break under delayed gratification. They need immediate results, immediate feedback, immediate validation. They need to see progress today, or they quit tomorrow. But strong people live for delayed gratification. They understand that every rep counts, even when the muscle doesn't show yet. Every page read counts, even when the knowledge doesn't apply yet. Every hour invested counts, even when the results don't manifest yet. They know that momentum is building, even when nothing shows. They trust the process because they trust themselves. And trust is earned through action, not through hope, not through wishes. Through doing what you said you'd do, repeatedly, until your word becomes law. That's why disciplined people don't panic when things go wrong. They've already been uncomfortable. They've already suffered on purpose. They've already put themselves through controlled adversity. So when life hits them unexpectedly, they don't break. They adapt. They execute. They move forward because they've trained for discomfort. They've rehearsed pain. They've practiced showing up when it would be easier to quit. This is where real confidence comes from. Not from success, but from knowing you can handle suffering. Knowing you can endure. Knowing you won't fold when things get hard. Knowing that discomfort is temporary, but quitting is permanent. That confidence doesn't need to announce itself. It doesn't need approval. It doesn't need validation. It doesn't need anyone else to believe it. It's internal. It's solid. It's unshakable. And people feel it. They might not understand it, but they feel it. In the way you carry yourself, in the way you speak, in the way you don't rush, in the way you don't react, in the way you stay calm when everyone else is panicking. Because desperation is gone. Weakness is desperate. Weakness needs things to work out now. Weakness needs validation now. Weakness needs proof now. But strength is patient. Strength doesn't beg. Strength doesn't chase. Strength doesn't explain itself. It just exists. It shows up. It does the work. It waits. And that presence is heavy. You didn't get here by accident. You earned it. Every early morning, every hard choice, every time you said no to comfort, every time you showed up tired, every time you kept going when quitting made sense. This version of you was forged, not gifted, not lucky. Forged through deliberate suffering, through intentional discomfort, through choosing the hard path repeatedly until the hard path became your default. And that's why it lasts. You're no longer trying to be strong. You're becoming it. You're embodying it. You're living it. And once you taste that level of self-respect, there's no going back. You can't unsee what you've seen. You can't unknow what you know. You can't pretend weakness feels acceptable anymore. It doesn't. It feels suffocating. It feels insulting. Not because you're arrogant, but because you've outgrown it. You've evolved past it. You've become someone who can't tolerate their own weakness. And this is where the real test begins. Because strength attracts pressure. Life will test you harder now. Responsibilities increase. Expectations rise. The margin for error shrinks. Standards get higher. Challenges get bigger. But you're ready. Because you didn't avoid pain. You trained in it. You sought it out. You learned to function in discomfort. And training changes everything. This isn't the end of your transformation.
It's the point of no return. By now, you understand something most people never will. Weakness isn't just physical. It's not about how much you can lift or how fast you can run. It's mental. It's emotional. It's spiritual. It's the habit of avoiding responsibility. It's the habit of lying to yourself and calling it peace. It's the habit of choosing comfort over growth and calling it balance. And once you see that, you can't unsee it. You start noticing weakness everywhere. In conversations, in routines, in environments, in people, in the excuses they make, in the patterns they repeat, in the comfort they cling to, and most importantly, you notice it when it tries to creep back into you. Because it will. Weakness never disappears forever. It doesn't die permanently. It waits. It waits for you to get tired. It waits for life to hit you hard enough that quitting sounds reasonable. It waits for the moment when discipline feels like too much effort, when showing up feels pointless, when continuing feels impossible. That's when discipline matters most. Not when you're motivated, not when you're winning, not when things are going well, but when you're exhausted, when you're frustrated, when you feel unappreciated, when no one sees your effort, when results aren't coming, when everything feels hard and nothing feels rewarding. That's when your standards are tested. That's when your identity is tested. Because discipline isn't about intensity. It's not about how hard you can go when you're fired up. It's about obedience to the standard you set for yourself. And if that standard is negotiable, so is your future. If you can talk yourself out of your commitments, you'll talk yourself out of your potential. If you can justify quitting once, you'll justify it again and again, until quitting becomes your default. Strong people don't rise because they're special. They don't succeed because they're gifted. They rise because they refuse to compromise. They refuse to betray themselves. They refuse to go back to the version they hated becoming. You remember that version. The one who procrastinated. The one who avoided pain. The one who complained but didn't act. The one who had dreams but no discipline. The one who wanted results but avoided work. You remember how that felt. Empty, frustrated, ashamed, disappointed in yourself. And that memory becomes fuel. Not anger at the world, not bitterness toward others, but anger at weakness, anger at wasted potential, anger at excuses, anger at the version of yourself that settled for less than what you were capable of. And anger, when controlled, becomes power. Not reckless power, not destructive power, focused power, the kind that sharpens your actions, the kind that makes you precise, the kind that eliminates waste. You stop entertaining distractions. You stop explaining yourself to people who don't understand the work, because explanation is a form of seeking approval, and you don't need approval anymore. You need results. You need progress. You need to become someone you respect. And respect isn't given. It's earned. And it starts internally. It starts when you do what you said you'd do. When you keep your word to yourself. When you don't quit on bad days. When you show up even when no one's watching. When you maintain your standards even when it would be easier to lower them. That's the part people don't see. The lonely mornings. The silent nights. The boring repetition. The days where nothing feels rewarding. The hours that feel wasted. The moments of doubt. The internal battles. Those days are doing more for you than the flashy ones ever will. Because those days build discipline. And discipline builds identity. Eventually, you stop fighting yourself. There's no inner debate anymore. No negotiation. No should I or shouldn't I. No weighing pros and cons. You just move. You train. You work, you execute, not because you're excited, not because you feel motivated, not because you want to, but because it's who you are now. This is the shift. When discipline stops being something you do and becomes something you are. When showing up stops being a choice and becomes automatic. When doing the work stops being hard and becomes natural. You're no longer chasing motivation. You're no longer relying on feelings. You're grounded, stable, reliable. And that reliability makes you dangerous, because dangerous people aren't emotional. They're consistent. They don't collapse. They don't drift. They don't fall apart when things get hard. They apply pressure steadily, relentlessly, until something gives. And usually, it's the obstacle. Usually, it's the challenge. Usually, it's the barrier that everyone else said was impossible. Life responds differently to people like that. Not because life is fair, but because prepared people create their own leverage. Opportunities start appearing. Not because you're lucky, but because you've built the capacity to recognize and seize them. Momentum starts building, not magically, but logically, because effort compounds, discipline compounds, self-respect compounds. And suddenly, you're no longer chasing the life you want. You're building it, brick by brick, day by day, rep by rep, hour by hour, decision by decision. And the best part? You don't need anyone to see it. You don't need validation. You don't need praise. You don't need recognition. Because you know what it cost. You know what you endured. You know what you overcame. You know the mornings you didn't want to get up, but did anyway. You know the workouts that felt impossible, but you finished anyway. You know the work that felt pointless, but you completed anyway. You know the doubts you pushed through, the fears you faced, the comfort you sacrificed. That knowledge gives you quiet confidence. The kind that doesn't speak much. The kind that doesn't need to prove anything. The kind that doesn't need external validation because it's built on internal truth. And that confidence is rare. That confidence is earned. Most people will never feel it, because most people will never commit fully. They'll flirt with discipline. They'll flirt with growth, but they'll never marry it. They'll never fully commit. They'll keep one foot in comfort and one foot in ambition. And that split commitment guarantees mediocrity. You can't transform while holding on to the old version. You can't grow while clinging to comfort. You can't become strong while protecting weakness. You did. The moment you said never again. Never again to weakness. Never again to betraying your potential. That moment changed everything. This isn't about becoming perfect. Perfection is a myth, a standard that doesn't exist. This is about becoming relentless. Relentless in effort. Relentless in standards. Relentless in self-respect. Relentless in showing up. Relentless in doing the work. You will still fail sometimes. You will still have bad days. You will still doubt yourself. You will still feel tired. You will still face obstacles. But you won't quit. And that's the difference. That's what separates you from everyone else. Quitting is weakness. Struggling is growth. There's a difference. Quitting means you gave up. Struggling means you're still in the fight. And now you know the difference. You've felt both, and you've chosen which one you'll accept. So when life tries to drag you back, when comfort whispers your name, when excuses sound logical, when quitting seems reasonable, remember this feeling. Remember why you started. Remember who you refused to remain. Remember the version of yourself you killed. Remember what it took to get here. Remember the price you paid. Because you didn't come this far to become weak again. You didn't suffer for nothing. You didn't sacrifice just to go back. You didn't build this version of yourself intentionally, just to let it crumble. You protected, you guarded, you defended at all costs. This is your standard now. This is your identity. This is your line in the sand. You got tired of being weak, and you never went back. Never again.